Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Inner Design Podcast. I'm Anna, the creative director for Simour Design.
And I'm Mitra Silva, founder and visionary of Simour Design. In this podcast, we explore the connection between leadership, mindset, and the environments we create. Because the way we think and lead shapes the business's team and the spaces that we build.
And so, for our topic for today, we're going to talk about the mirror principle. And so, the idea behind that is that we tend to attract whatever it is that we embody. So, in other words, the way you think, the way you lead, the way you show up often shapes the people, opportunities, that comes to your life or your business. And so, one story that we have here in Seymour was that a few years ago, we noticed that we had a pattern in our business. We were attracting a certain kind of project, a certain kind of situation, very much like how we operate internally. So, a few things we observed was that we were moving very fast. We were reacting to demands of our projects, we were over delivering. There was a lot of urgency and pressure going on with us internally. And one thing we noticed was that many of our clients were also operating in that same way. It was rushed, it was very reactive. And so we had to pause and ask ourselves, why do we feel this all the time? Like, why does everything have to be like that? So that's when we realized that maybe our environment was reflecting our mindset. And so there was one thing that we changed, one small thing that we changed. Every time we had our meeting, we did what we call a mental rehearsal. So before every meeting, we ask ourselves questions like, what kind of businesses do we want? How do we want to show up? Or how do we want to feel that day? And we imagine that in our heads, we try to feel it in our body and just stay grounded with that thought. And so one of the things that we were visualizing or rehearsing in our heads was simplicity or ease. And so we tried to stick with those emotions and those thoughts at the start of all of our meetings. And so with that, how we saw this shift, we saw a shift in our team's energy. We saw a shift in how our projects were responding to us. We saw a shift in what kind of new projects we were attracting or people that we partnered with. So that's where we really saw the mirror principle take effect. So today, that's what we'll talk about. And that's why Mitra's here, because Mitra, a lot of this transformation that we did with Seymour started when you began guiding us through the practice of mental rehearsal. So can you explain to everybody what's the concept behind it and why is it so powerful?
Thank you. And I believe I was just thinking as you were talking, what a shift, what a transformation that we had to do. Simple, yet it was not super easy in the sense that we had to really completely monitor every thoughts, every feeling, and kept looking at outside to see what's not working, and instead of keep changing from outside, we reflected back, and I just had a flashbacks of those days. So it was just, I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for all of those lessons. So to answer your question, when the transformation started, when I realized that whatever we're doing from outside is not bringing the highest level of joy to us, and the more that we're changing and trying actually to change the case scenario, the projects, the clients from outside, the further away we're getting from the result. So it wasn't working, basically. You remember, like every time we're like, okay, let's change our marketing strategy, let's change our content, let's change the way our questionnaire works with our design. And it was just really getting to like keep reflecting on the outside. And I'm like, it does help, but it's not changing. It's not completely transforming the way we want it, and it's taking so long. And we failed. We got up. We just keep trying and trying. And but I would say that the shift started when I personally realized that with all the inner work that I did, I reflected back and I really went deep within my heart and my soul and study the best teachers that are teaching what actually is going to make the transformation, what actually makes the change. For example, one of them, Dr. Joe Dispenza, is how we think, how we act, and how we feel. It creates our realities. And I was like, okay, so that means we have to change fundamentally the way we think. But it started with how do we think right now? So what I did a full x-ray of what am I thinking now that it creates this ripple effect into my environment, into the clients, into the business, into that experiences that we're experiencing, and then going backwards and change the thoughts of choosing different thoughts, which was the hardest one because in the neuroscience and changing all of your brain connections and neural path of is a very biological and chemical experience, because when you change your thoughts you actually change your feelings. That means the old thoughts has to dissipate, it has to dissolve away, and it's very chemical. I remember that I'm like, oh my god, like are we losing our identity, the old self? And the answer was yes, absolutely, but it's a good thing. But in the part of the brain that it protects us and put us in the survival, wants to protect us, the survival part of our brain wants to protect us. It's like, no, it's familiar, keep it. And I have to say no. So really understood that this is the work. This is how we make the shift. This is being a creator of my life and our life. And me, by leading us at Simour, me leading myself in this life, I wanted to create a new experience. I wanted to show up differently. I wanted to create a new experience that is based on peace, harmony, simplicity, ease. That was the work, really understanding our thoughts. And that's in quantum physics, like our thoughts sending the signal, and our feeling is a magnet that bring that back as a magnetic field into the universe, into this magnetic field of our universe, our reality that we live. So one of the very powerful tools that I brought to us in our every weekly meeting was that mental rehearsal. I was like, guys, let's think differently. Let's if it's easier, let's look at the feelings first. Our thoughts creates our realities. That means the way we're thinking, then we're reacting and behaving, and then that's how we feel and embody, right? That's the overarching of simply yet powerfully we can change our reality by starting from that seed of understanding. No one else is doing it to us, but we're creating that. And every clients that they were reflecting and mirroring back that part of us, which was short timeline, rushing through all the creative process, which is make the most impact. And construction has to be so fast and quick, and I was like, no more. Like, this pressure is not serving us, it's not serving them, meaning the clients, it's not serving us as a team. We went through this journey together, but we had to believe in ourselves that we have the capacity and capability to change. And I'm so grateful and to have such an amazing team that we have, that we stood by each other and we said, we're going to do this, we're going to make the change, we're going to actually change. All of us had to do that, and it started from me just making that decision and showing up every day. And doesn't matter how many times we failed, and we fell, we got up and said, we're going to try one more time, we try one more time, we try one more time. And being, and I think one of the other biggest shift was being kind through this process to ourselves and with each other, so we can, even that shift that was reflecting back to the clients, would be kind. And everything that wasn't working, simply with no emotional charge, we would say to clients, no, for example, we can't do that, or we can, without over promising or over delivering, in a sense that it wasn't serving us internally or serving them. So there's really understood, I personally understood the sophistication and elegance of this transformation work, from really hand selecting the thoughts and the reality that I wanted us to experience, and realizing, in order to create a new belief, is that repetition. Keep repeating and repeating until those neuropath and neuroplasticity in our brain will shape a new belief, because belief is just a thought that we repeat over and over and over and over again until that neuropath and neural connections become so strong, and that becomes a belief. And then we feel it in our body, because chemically we, it releases a specific chemical in our body, we like feel it. And I had to understood and the fundamental of who we are, from our brain to our body. Just study who we are as a human, so I can, because I tried a lot of different things, but it wasn't giving me answer the way I wanted it. And I see that now, the clients that we're attracting, they truly, now, because it's so clear, that they believe, either they're aware or not, they actually showing up in their own practices the same way. They choose, and they choose to stay grounded into what is actually important to them from their heart and soul. And then they bring that to their team, they bring that to their patients, to their clientele. And then when we start working together, we help them to elevate it, to channel it, to bring it. Such a, I would say, simple yet powerful way that it reflects into their spaces.
I like that. It's like the intention that we put into our thoughts and how we built their projects and how we served them also translated into their space and into their practice and into how they show up um, for their patients as well.
And now we're mirroring back of them or to them,
Exactly.
right? So it's just this I know we're working on really showing who we are through our marketing, our website now. And we chose the infinite possibilities. And when you put two mirrors in front of each other, it becomes the infinite possibilities, right? Like that effect, and that mirror effect, that you have two mirror in front of each other, like looking at it, like, wow, there's like infinite, like two mirrors, reflecting back. And that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's
Actually,
very powerful.
when you just said mirrors in front of each other, you know those fun houses where when you have the mirrors and then there's one in front of it and
Yeah.
it really is like infinitely
Yeah.
continuous.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah, or
infinite
like a fitting
possibility.
room. You go and do a fitting room, there's two mirrors, and you're like looking at it, and you're like, wow, like there's so many version of us can be created and be defined, but it's
Mhm.
our choice with our thoughts which one we choose to live, because there's the infinite way of thinking. I truly believe it. Depends on how the neuroplasticity in our brain have been designed by or shaped throughout the years. And I believe I love science. I'm so geeky about science. Like science now understood that, you don't have to live the way you grow up. You can actually redesign your entire brain in a way that you want to shape your reality, which starts with our thoughts. So when I see that in us, and then I see that in our this level of new clientele that we have, that we reflecting that part of us that really believe and live in infinite possibility, infinite opportunities and creation and serving and making impact, they reflect back on us. And it's to me, and I believe to us, is what's worth of doing the work and living, just very fulfilling.
I love that. Like, yeah, you could really curate your reality in a way.
Mhm.
I do want to go back to your explanation of the whole mental rehearsal, creating your reality. What is it I think about, or how am I being that's causing this? And so it's like a reflection of that. And then taking action on it. And then you said being kind, repeating it until you feel it. And I wanted to give our listeners an example of that. And one thing is, I think everybody in all kinds of industries could relate to this when you talked about timeline. Like everybody wants something sooner, faster, like the day before they ask for it. And so if you could like kind of walk us through, like for us, we always have projects that come in and say, oh, I want this in half the time that it usually takes us. So what was our previous thought, and then what did you think that said, how am I thinking that's causing me to over deliver? How am I thinking that's causing me to um, have to be reactive? And then how did you change your thought? Like, what thought did you make that says, okay, I'm thinking this way, therefore I'm acting this way. If I think this way, then I can act this way.
Good question. The thought, the previous thoughts were coming from the place of lack, that I'm not enough, therefore I have to overcompensate, and had nothing to do with the clients. It was the inner reflection of me, of us internally, that we have to overpromise, over um trying, I would say, because internally felt like maybe what I'm doing is not enough. That's the fundamental of worthiness, really, that it was reflecting back that into, let's say, the timeline, and we would attract the clients that everything was yesterday, right? And again, for them was the same thing, because it was when you get so overloaded with the busyness of life, or creating that busyness in the meaning, overloaded with a lot of things and tasks, and never pause and say, that's what happened. Like it was all the time felt I have to do something in order to feel fulfilled. And when I got to the point of seeing it and said, okay, it's very stressful to keep working with clients that they always wanted it yesterday. And we tried, never, I think you remember, like, regardless of how hard we tried, it wasn't enough.
Exactly. It was
It wasn't
never
enough,
enough.
ever enough. And
Mhm.
again, I'm not saying it's them. It was just that reflection of the thoughts and the feeling that I am not enough.
Mhm.
And the moment I realize it, I'm like, oh my God, that's the shift.
Mhm.
Can I think now, even I don't feel it, I am enough?
Yeah.
Can I think that I am worthy with no action, with no just be as an existing in this life?
Hmm.
Can I do that? And when I said that, then I'm like, okay, like I like the thought. So I'm gonna choose this thought.
Hmm.
And then I start repeating it, I start meditating, I start going deep with it, I start journaling around it, and then keep going deeper and deeper. What does that really mean? That I create and I give from the place of overflowing
Hmm.
of worthiness, that I am worthy, I am enough, therefore I'm going to share that with others. That's the fine line right there,
I
that
love that.
over giving versus I am enough and I'm giving from overflowing. And when that happened, and I kept embodying that myself, and then brought that to our team and practiced it we all together internally, we all did a lot of work individually and then together. We had to trust each other. The team had to trust me with this process and showing up every day and having each other's back and creating the environment and the space that we can be vulnerable. We can trust each other with our monthly call as the entire team and the company, and everyone really did the work throughout this time that we were, until we meet next month, and embodying that worthiness, embodying that I am enough. Then we start attracting those clientele that is said, I am enough too. And I want to share this with you. And I want you to help me to create the environment that even reflects that kind of thought process, that feeling that I want to give that to my patients. I want to give that to my team, to my clientele, or the clients that we have, investors, and they have multi locations. They wanted to spread that message from the fundamental and sprout out all of their creation and their investment with that intention.
I love that because I think as I was going through that process of transformation, I remember w- we were in a phase where we were also we knew the value of the services we offered and we believed in it so much. But for some reason, we kept changing our services to cater to different types of people, projects, everything. But every time we did it, it just failed. But I think it was because we couldn't clearly see the worthiness of what we have and what we had to offer. And when we anchored into that reality, into truly embodying the worthiness, we stood ground into the services that we know is the best, and it serves and will benefit our clients the most. That's when people were also the people that we were attracting also then started to value our service even more. They weren't asking for like a menu, they weren't asking for tailors or anything like that. They just knew how worthy it is as well when we ourselves started to embody that. So it really does start from that self belief, and then people get attracted to it and start embodying that as well. And also, we started attracting people who had such unique services in their practices, but it was so valuable. And you could feel it when they talk about it, like how amazed and, um, how do you say, excited they are about it. I think because those people that we were attracting also had a great deal of worthiness already when they came to us. So I just wanted to add that, like how important that is.
Yeah, and also when I look back, those times that we weren't realizing our worthiness, it still served us.
Mhm.
Every time we tailored the new services or we tried, it really helped us. I'm grateful even for those times, and we awakened when we had to be awakened. But I'm grateful for those times because we mastered even more of our creativity. So it had its own purpose because, you know, it wasn't just like, oh, let's do design and finishes and furniture. It was completely, we didn't give up. We went deeper to create strategies, to think outside of the box. And now we still do the same thing, but in the different energy, in the different mindset of
Mhm.
this worthiness that I have. I even want to unfold it and understand it better because I want to create impact, because I want um, to even experience what I'm doing even more so I can give more of that as an overflow as a result of it. Right. And exactly the same thing that clients that we're attracting, they're excited about who they are. They're excited about how they or who they attracting and serving the patients, the clientele, and they want to do the same thing. And it becomes a very effortless process because it's a inspired act versus just doing things or making money or having another practice. We have all kinds of different specialty, and it's so amazing to see that, like, all the new clients that we have, the I would say new is this in the last, several months or so, but all of our clients, the current clients, they doesn't matter what their specialty is, they are inspired by who they are even, and they love what they do. It's not just They're not just there to make money, and they're very true in that sense to themselves, because when we take them through that process of branding, patient experience, and our signature identity, to go deep into their heart and soul and their why, to even get it more clear, you can clearly see the difference between the previous clientele, which was the reflection of our past of who we were, versus the who we became. They're completely clear and excited about serving their patients, serving their, like, creating the team or expanding or opening the second, third, 10th location. They're all like really aligned. So I would say that that is has a deep rooted intention into how they think and how we started thinking as a new self, as a most authentic part of us. The process was unlearning, removing the mask of survival or what we learned in the past. I personally had to do that a lot to keep transforming and transforming and becoming more.
I like how the mirror principle and everything we've been talking about, it's kind of a process of getting to know ourselves, and as you were saying, like breaking down the layers so you truly understand who you are.
Mhm.
And I love how you mentioned the Seymour signature, which is our what we it's our process of design, where we try to get deep into the visionary of each practice, try to understand them in their core, like who are they, why are they wanting to do this, what impact do they want to make, so that we could also translate that into their space. And so in our design, it's not just about, and this is why we talk about it in this podcast, because how we show up as a leader definitely shows up in the spaces that we build and how we show up for our team. And so if that's the same with how we design spaces, we have to break down all the layers and align it with the visionary behind, and make sure that that same intention and impact, the same way you present yourself or how you show up in your business, in your practice, is translated into your space.
Yeah, the mirror effect is how we think, is how we act, and how we feel. Therefore, it creates our reality.
Mhm.
It creates what we create in our spaces as a tangible representation of how we think, how we hold the vision, how we hold this, our why, which we help our clients to channel that and understand that and truly anchor themselves into that why, because that's the practice, that's the life, that's the team they can create that is based on fulfillment, not
Mhm.
just because.
So, to all of our listeners right now who want to test this out, want to understand how they think or how to make a difference into their reality, what's one or two practices that they could do just to test it out, to try it out, and experience what it is we've been talking about?
The way I did it, I used Dr. Dispenza's um, manifestation, I would say, process, which is having a clear intention with combining it with elevated emotions. So, really understanding what we want and be very clear about it is very important. I would say for us, it took me so many years to understand what I really, really, truly want. That is not just based on the what I learned from external world, but it's a reflection of my heart and my soul. So I had to be patient with myself. So I would invite everyone to be patient if it takes them time and you want something now and you have to keep changing it, it's okay until it feels very aligned with your heart. And the elevated emotions are really for us was love, simplicity in a sense that it was from the place of joy.
First, as you just to summarize what you mentioned, first is you have to have a clear intention, um, and then be open to feeling and embodying it. So
Yeah,
I
the
think,
feeling comes when we keep thinking about a thought over and over again until we believe it. And sometimes I had to force myself to feel a certain feeling because my body was not used to it, you know?
yeah.
Especially heart is
Mhm.
what we have the least attention to. It just keep literally focusing on my awareness and my heart so I can feel the feeling of my heart, you know, literally activating my heart in order to feel the elevated emotions. Sometimes I wouldn't, so I had to keep
Yeah.
forcing myself. So keep
Yeah.
going at it, keep being patient with it, with ourselves, and then keep showing up. Meditation has been one of the biggest tools for me and for all of us at Seymour to be able to access our programming level of our subconsciousness so we can reprogram all of these thoughts from the fundamental place. And when we do that, I was, you know, every week we would talk about it and holding that vision, holding that feelings um, alive. I love to now, instead of holding a picture in our mind, because the brain loves to create a picture, instead of having a picture to be filled in, we focus on, or I usually focus on the feeling now and letting life and letting, you know, the universe and the reality to be filled in a most unexpected way, because if we expect or we know the picture, that means it's from our past experiences, and that's not what I wanted it for us. I wanted a new experience, unexpected, from infinite possibilities, to experience those feelings for us for myself, for us at Seymour, and for our clients, and keep showing up every day, every week, to do the mental rehearsal and activate that clear intention and feeling it, and we become a magnet to attract it to us.
I think a clear example of that was, I'll just describe one of the earlier mental rehearsals we had. I think one of the ones we really anchored on was ease. When I was saying we were feeling a lot of overwhelm in everything we were doing behind the scenes, operationally, etc. We were obsessed with the word. I wouldn't say obsessed, but we just love the word ease. And so in every meeting, we would say something like, what is it like to feel ease in our sales process? And so we would all together in that meeting close our eyes, feel it. First, just see what vision we may have, and then in detail feel it. What does ease feel like? And then after maybe a few minutes, we'd share what it felt like, how to go through a sales process if everything was easy. And we did that almost every week, just ease and just the sales process for like 3 months, I think, until we felt it, until we embodied it, until it was what we imagined 3 months ago. And so we did that same thing with joy and simplicity and everything. And yeah, I think that was like the process that we had to go through, and it's the same way we have to go over it again and again until your body truly does believe. All right, so I'll have one more question, Mitra. For those listening today, and they know that their current reality doesn't reflect the life that they want, just like who we were at our turning point back then. What do you think is the first question they have to ask?
When you're in survival, it's so hard to ask a question of what do I want. I I would recommend is just using a simple breath to calm down the mind, so the heart can hear, hopefully can hear the voice of the heart, or the whisper of the heart, because usually heart whisper, um, to ask, what do I really want? I think that was a question I asked myself over and over and over and over. And I still do, because I want to get closer to that voice. What do I really want? What is that I want to experience in this life? What kind of experiences? How do I want to serve? But it all comes from, what do I want? Who am I? I ask that question often from myself, like, who am I? Like, who am I really as this character in this life? Like, who am I? And the beauty of it, we can choose to whatever we want to be. And I want to invite that everyone who's listening to give that permission to to yourself, to really see that you can be anyone who you want to be. But the most beautiful for me was the one was aligned with my heart and with my soul, that the kindest, the the question of what would love do in everything that I'm taking action, the decisions that I have to make or had to make in the business, in finances, in clientele, in team, in hiring, in letting go, in all of that. Like, what would love do? And keep asking that questions, and making time for yourself to make space for mental contemplation, making space for you, like if it's meditation, to really get familiar with your thoughts, with your feelings, is a gift that I do that personally every day, regardless of what happens in the world, in the business, in my personal life. I make time for myself. And that making time for ourselves, we're giving the signal to our subconsciousness that I am worthy to I am showing up for myself. And then asking question, who am I? What do I really want? And that from there, staying with it. If I wasn't able to hearing that for a long time, or I would just hear things that I learned from external world or society, or the standards was set as a woman, as a entrepreneur, as a designer, and I'm like, none of those really resonate with my heart and my soul. I want to be able to feel when I heard that voice and I felt it. I was like, this is the feeling. And that feeling, when it came, I kept remembering it. So I can have that level of threshold or standard of like, okay, this is the feeling that I want to feel every time. So starting with asking, what do I really want? Or who do I want? Who am I in this life? And what do I want to experience? So whatever, which one, any of these questions that is easier on you guys that listening, just try it. Or any other questions that is really get to the why of your heart, because that's where our heart is the biggest magnetic field in our body. The more attention we give to it, the more powerful we become from who we really truly are, just being empowered. So I kept doing that, and that's from there everything started unfolding, and the path started opening up for myself to even think differently, or even choosing the thoughts that I truly wanted to have.
Well, thank you so much, Mitra, for everything you shared today. Uh, Thank you for everybody who's listened to us. Thank you for making time. And so we'll leave you with this one question. If your life and your business doesn't reflect what's happening inside, or isn't doesn't feel aligned with what you want, we really invite you to slow down, take the time, listen to your heart, connect with your heart, and ask itself, what does it really truly want? So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you,
Thank
Mitra.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Anna.
We'll see you all next time.